Hello, students. This is a revision of the essay Introduction to the Empire Writes Back. The experience of colonialism has radically influenced the perceptual framework of the peoples of Africa, Australia, India, Canada, and other post colonial countries which comprise more than three quarters of the world. So, colonialism has influenced perceptual framework. What do we mean by perceptual? Relating to the ability to interpret or become aware of something through the senses. Colonialism has influenced their ability to think and interpret. Um, which are the countries? Africa, Australia, China, Canada, etc. Because the USA, former colonial country, has emerged a new colonizing power itself. Its post colonial nature has largely been ignored. We don't consider the literature of USA as post colonial because the country itself has become a new colonizing power. Each of the formal colonial countries has its own distinctive regional characteristic as expressed in its post-colonial literature. Post-colonial literatures are paradigmatic of a tension between the former colony and its formal imperial power. This tension is produced and is continuously maintained by explicit or other means of the erstwhile imperial power, which is construed as the center, the position of hegemony, while the former colonies are pushed to the margin or periphery. Edward Said decries the efforts of those marginalized people to completely immerse themselves in the culture of the center, denying their origins and in the process becoming more English than the English. So, here in the literatures of post colonial countries, we can see their own characteristic regional features. Secondly, we can also note a tension between the center and the peripheral. Center is former colonizers, and periphery is the post colonial nations. Edward Said strongly denounces the idea that the marginalized people are nowadays completely immersing themselves in the culture of the center instead of glorifying or following their own culture and tradition. They are blindly imitating the culture and tradition of the colonizers, former colonizers. So they are trying to become more English than the English people themselves. On the other hand, the same tension has produced strong and inevitable desire to dismantle the center of power. So, there is also the idea of dismantling the center coming from post colonial nations. The center of canons in literature, center of values, and its place establish a nexus of power coming from the marginal or peripheral. In other words, these post colonial countries comprising of the empire strike back or write back, in the words of Salman Rushdie. So, writing back is like striking back, it is a protest against what has been the center. There are many strategies of striking back without the use of the sword. The post colonial people have realized the fact that the language of the center, which is defined as the erstwhile colonizing power, is the medium of power. In this note, the language of the center is limited to the perceived language of power, English, and does not include the languages of other past colonizing powers such as France, Spain, or Portugal. So, when we consider the language of power, it is the English or the received standard English of Britain and not that of France, Spain, and Portugal. For the 400 years of colonization, the English language, specifically the received standard English, the English spoken and written in southeast of England, has been held up as the universal norm. Therefore, any variant of the language are considered impure. Even the term given to such variants, English with a small e, is an imperial oppression which actually relegates the post colonial literatures to the marginal and subordinate position. English people considered their own English as standard and the English of post colonial nations as inferior and contaminated, impure. With such an assumption, even the American English or the English spoken by Australians, New Zealanders, Canadians, Indians, the Maoris, or the Kenyans are all variants. So, now what are the strategies used by the writers to strike back or write back to the center? The strategies used are abrogation and appropriation. Abrogation and protest, abrogation and inversion, colonialism and silence. In the book Empire Writes Back, Ashcraft et al. Identify these as the tools with which the post colonial writers seized the language of power. The received English to reverse whatever assumptions of power the language had. Abrogation is a refusal of the categories of imperial culture, its aesthetics, its illusionary standard of a normative or correct usage, and its assumption of a traditional and fixed meaning inscribed in words. While abrogation is a mental stance, appropriation is a process by which language is consciously brought under the influence of vernacular and its cultural nuances. Now, one is reminded of Raja Rao's Kantapura, and in Raja Rao's words, the usage of language by him is to convey in a language that is not one's own, the spirit that is one's own. So he is using a language which is not his to express the thoughts and feeling which are his own. It is like using a foreign language to describe and express the feelings which are his own. Abrogation and protest do not mean resistance to political and economic pressures only, but more importantly, resistance to the dominating cultural values. One of the manifestations of the power of the center is its power over the means of communication, specifically writing. Silence or the world of non-verbal signs is imposed on the marginalized natives of a country. Abrogation and authenticity is defined operationally as the perceived authenticity or the validity or the accepted value attributed to the center and the corresponding unvalidated, inauthentic periphery, the marginalized colonial expression.